Trial continued today for a Waco man accused in the 2020 shooting death of an ARP motorcyclist. Joshua Tibbits is accused of being a member of the motorcycle gang, the Cossacks. Several of his co-defendants testified in court today. This map shows their phone calls on the night of the murder. One of his co-defendants, who has pleaded guilty for engaging in organized criminal activity, testified they did not know the victim, Brandon Edwards, and they acted when they saw his colors of an opposing gang. Trial continues tomorrow morning in the Smith County Courthouse. A Tyler